everybody. Welcome to the Space Tomatoes podcast. I am one of your hosts, LX, and we also have Mr. Havok over here. Hey, Havok.
Hello there.
Hey. So today we're going to get our a little bit of a milk mustache on, maybe. If you don't like milk, too bad. Because today I think we're going to be talking about some milk stuff. Because I know you've been taking a deep dive down the rabbit hole of milk and the story about raw milk versus pasteurized milk and how it became that way. Because for hundreds and thousands of years, people have been eating or drinking, whatever you want to call it. I guess we're eating it or drinking it. I don't know what the correct term is, but milk straight out of whatever animal that you so desire. For my wife and I, we go for the goat milk, but some people prefer cow. And there's also other animals, I guess. I don't know. Can you milk like cats?
No.
I don't know.
You know, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are other animals, right? I mean, you go internationally, and you're going to have different animals. I imagine in Mongolia, it's probably, I know. I think yak's milk is something people do as well. I don't know, but it is. It's a, it's a tradition. It's a food stuff from, as early as I could figure out. I mean, you've got Egyptians, showing pictures of milk, you know what I mean, in hieroglyphs, etc. So, or at least it looks like a white liquid inside of a container. Hard to tell, right? There's not really many of them left that you can just go like, hey, what is this? And they're like, oh yeah. Actually, there's. I was going to say there aren't any, but anymore, I don't. I don't. Wow, this one threw me for a loop, man. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be in the research on this. I think we're probably going to be doing this at least once more.
So you went straight down the rabbit hole then, apparently.
Well, I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole, but one of the things that I really wanted to find out is, when this change occurred, why, and what were the real reasons? And while there's some very surface level stuff that's like, oh yeah, people got sick, it doesn't hold up. Right? It just doesn't hold up.
Anytime I ask myself why something happens, it usually comes down to one reason. And that is money somehow factors into it. And I'm sure you're going to let me know, but I'm sure there's a financial gain for somebody that wanted this to happen.
I haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
Not yet. I mean, it's such an incredible rabbit hole to go down. Honestly, it seems, to anyone looking at it, you would just think, oh yeah, well, they made that decision for safety and that's it. Right. But then as we start, getting into some of the information that I've found, and, I'm using reputable sources, right? I'm not looking for like, joesconspiracyshop.com, right? I'm, Harvard Food Law School is one of the sources that I'm using.
All right.
So it's not, again, this isn't meant to be, or it didn't start out as, some conspiracy idea or something like that. And I still don't think it is. Right. But
there's always a but, right?
Well, I mean, there's some conspiratorial crap that I've already uncovered, and it's just like mind blown. Literally, like what? And at the end of the day, maybe it's not a conspiracy. Maybe it's just a fact that's before its time. Okay, maybe that's just another name for a conspiracy anymore. Yeah. So, yeah, and I've been delving into this, and I've got some contact numbers. I have people I want to reach out to that are, championing the right to choose what food you consume, to, to allow people that freedom of choice, and especially when it comes to things that are whole, real foods, right? Now, before we go any further in this, the very first thing I want to say before we even start talking about any of this is all resource information. Last time I checked, I cannot post links into YouTube yet. Something about new channel or something, and I'm not real keen on uploading an ID to prove my identity so that I can post a web link. That being said, we will make sure that we will put them up in a few areas, right? One of the areas that I think I may actually do is go through our website, spacetomatoes.net, and I may try and go through and do a quick redesign and try and do a link dump or create another page on there, etc. I'm not a web developer, man. So anyone with skills in that area, comment, ping, like, do something, and get with us. Another housekeeping note, right? We started a Telegram channel. And if you want to get on there, it's a great platform, chat platform, and we have not only our channel that we post the videos to, and potentially comments, and I will post the links and, other notes and everything related to this podcast, right? This particular episode. And anything we go into like that, I will try and make sure that we do the same there, right? So Telegram channel, you can also find us, just remember, right? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, on X. You can also find us on Podbean and Podcast Addict. So we're trying to expand the ways that you can consume this. If you have other ideas, let us know. Anyway, big, real important statement here, right? I am not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a lawyer. I don't work for any governmental agency whatsoever, right? Everything I'm telling you here, I've sourced. I will include my sources, and I'm giving you the information as it was presented, and not trying to, pull some weirdness out of my behind, right? You'll see media come through throughout this podcast as I edit it up to show you what I was looking at, so you can see it verbatim, word for word. And hopefully we won't get in any I don't think so, because it's a public forum from a public event that was publicly put out there. But
yeah, fair use, I think we're allowed to do that.
Yeah, I don't, not my intention to do anything that is, trying to take from others' work. And in fact, again, all of the presentations and everything else, everything I'm capturing, I will put the links in there. You will have access to the original source information, with credit for the people. I'm not going to go through and credit everybody. I'm going to give you the link. You can go look at the source information, etc. So, did I clear everything I wanted? This is an interesting one, right? So yeah, that's kind of what I've been diving into, and it got weird real quick, uncomfortably so.
See, I don't know that much about it. All I know is I visited you last year, and while I was up there, well, I didn't actually go. My wife went to, they have a local farm store around you, somewhere, and they were selling raw goat milk. And actually it was goat milk kefir or kefir. I don't know how you say it. But my wife bought me some, and I was having a little bit of a flare up with my psoriasis, especially on my arms. But I drank that for a few days, and it actually got better. So that's kind of what got me turned on to it. And the little bit of peripheral reading I did on like raw milk, it didn't really give me a lot of confidence, because a lot of people are against it. They're like, you're going to die. It's got bacteria in it. There's a reason the government, does the pasteurization thing. And, you're taking your life in your own hands. And then I'm like, people have been doing it for a long time. I could see, you want to be trusting of the source where you're coming from. I don't think you want a dirty farm. I think you need to get it, source it from a place that cleanliness is one of their priorities. But beyond that, I do not think it's going to hurt you. I mean, that's just in my opinion. But I mean, your mileage may vary. So I mean, if you have
if you get sick or die, it's your problem, not ours.
If you have any kind of medical conditions where you, where you maybe consult a doctor before doing it, but they might not tell you it's a great idea. I don't know. This is just my personal experience.
They're not. They're absolutely 100% not going to tell you that you're going to be okay doing it. Right. I highly doubt it. Okay. Let me take that back. I'm going to walk all that back. I'm going to say I would be absolutely shocked and amazed if a medical professional told you, yeah, go for it, you're fine. Right. And again, this is, I can't speak for the medical professional, but I can imagine if I was in that situation. Look, we're just podcast hosts, right? If I mean, there's a lot of places to get information from, right? Anyway, I felt it, we both felt it was necessary to kind of have that little spiel at the front. Like, hey, look, we're not, professionals. We're not giving you advice here. We're not telling you what to do. What we're doing is talking about a subject. We're going through information that we've found. Now, I will say that I am biased towards raw milk. Okay. I'm not against so much pasteurized milk. There are a number of reasons that I prefer it, not the least of which is tastes better. It's got a lot of active live enzymes and cultures in it that are, good for your body, right? Babies drink raw milk. Maybe there's a reason for that, right? We don't pasteurize mother's breast milk. Now, again, you're talking, okay, well, different situation. It is. I'm not going to go there, right? But at the same time, there's no requirement for that, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting one. It really is.
I mean, for me, I've always been like, my diet was not very expansive, and so like when it was first suggested to me to try even the kefir, which is fermented milk. So I mean, to me, that was like, I don't want to drink fermented milk. I'm thinking like, it's got like chunks floating around in it and stuff, like, but that's the whole thing about raw milk. So if I didn't know this, so if you leave raw milk on the counter, like unrefrigerated, it's going to turn into sour cream or some other kind of, milk product that you can eat, and you're not going to die. If you leave store-bought pasteurized milk on the counter, it's going to become rancid and moldy, and you're going to die if you drink it, or get very, very sick, probably. Yeah. at the very least, it's unappetizing and inedible. So
my guess is it'll come out quicker than it went in.
Yeah. So I mean, in my mind, when like when I first heard of fermented milk, the kefir stuff, I'm thinking like in my brain, like when you leave milk on the counter, that's what you're going to get, some chunky, nasty, like stuff you can't even stand the smell of, that's not the case.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was interesting. So, yeah, man, this is just so expansive. And I'm like, I feel so lost in this as well, because I'm literally just scratching the surface, and I've been researching the crap out of this all week. And just to give you an idea, all week, like I've probably spent 6-7 hours. Okay. So I say all week, and it's not like I'm sitting here all day. I have a job, right? I have to do stuff to make a living. But I am, actively researching this stuff, and, let me take that back. It's got to be more than 7 hours, because I've gone through at least 2 or 3 hour plus things, debates, presentations, etc. on this as well. So yeah, it's probably more like 12 hours, right?
Impressive.
Yeah, yeah. So a few things I learned. You're familiar with the term outbreak, right?
What is it?
Outbreak,
Oh yeah, yeah,
an
yeah.
outbreak.
Hmm.
Like, oh, we had an outbreak.
Right.
Do you know what an outbreak is?
No. Well, I mean,
Take a guess. Take a guess.
the definition of it.
How do you? Yeah, how do you actually say, oh, well, this is an outbreak, but that wasn't?
I
What do you think? What do you think? I mean, just use your gut, right? You've heard the
just
term
like
when you
a
hear it.
high incidence of something happening. I would say.
Yeah, yeah, that was me too. I was like, oh my gosh, this is an outbreak. You know, there's got to be thousands of people infected.
Like in
Right?
2020, say we had an outbreak of some kind of virus, right?
Exactly, an outbreak, right? You think outbreak, and my head,
Lots of people affected by it.
right? My head goes, oh my gosh, so many people. An outbreak. It is considered an outbreak when 2 or more people are affected.
Really
2 or more.
interesting.
Yes. So you either have an incident, a solo incident, or an outbreak. So right off the bat, put your mindset there, right? Whenever you hear outbreak, it doesn't mean what your brain thinks, or at least what my brain automatically goes to, which is outbreak. Oh my gosh, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of people have been affected.
That's what I would think, right?
2.
That's all it takes.
Yep. Now, I'm not saying that's it for all outbreaks, but that's all that is required for it to be considered an outbreak. That is literally what an outbreak is. Okay.
All right.
So that was eye opening. I mean, no, it was to me. My whole thought is an outbreak means holy crap, we're screwed. You know what I mean? This is a big deal. Oh, it's an outbreak of E. coli. Yeah, these 2 dudes had it. Okay. So, yeah, from there it gets even weirder, right? Let's see if I can get through some of this stuff. I'm trying to go through some of my
I mean, we all kind of know what we learned in elementary school or middle school, right, about Louis Pasteur, and that's about the extent of what I know about pasteurization. But it was like people were getting sick, so they heated it up, and now people don't get sick, right? That's it. That's about all I know.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things I found, which was interesting, and this is in a presentation again from the Harvard Food Law School. So the Harvard School of Law has different portions of their law schools, right? And this one is their food law, right?
Okay.
This is Harvard. We've heard of them. They seem to be pretty reasonably intelligent people.
Been around for a while.
Might consider them a heightened authority, right? But this is from a presentation from that. And I'm not saying that these are Harvard professors or anything like that. I did not get that far into it, right? I haven't delved into the credentials of each individual's in the presentation, but it was put on, promoted, and sponsored by the Harvard Food Law School. It is listed on the Harvard site under the Harvard Law School site under their Harvard Food Law, and it's got the presentation in there. So once again, this is not, like, oh yeah, okay, it's right there, right? Anyway, part of the presentation they were coming across, and one of the things I'd never even heard was around raw milk and tooth decay, which is kind of interesting considering we just had a nifty conversation on fluoride, right? Tooth decay, fluoride. Now this was back in 1943. And according to the notes, the person was James C. Thompson, Pasteurized Milk, a National Menace, the Kingston Chronicle from Edinburgh, Scotland, 1943,5. I'm guessing episode 5, month 5. I'm not positive. The statement is Dr. Evelyn Sprawson of the London Hospital, and a quotation. In certain institutions, children who were brought up on raw milk had perfect teeth and no decay. The result is so striking and unusual that it will undoubtedly be made the subject of further inquiry. Right? That's an interesting one. It's not a thing that I had thought about, but as a benefit of raw milk, right? I mean, had you?
Thought about teeth? No. No, I mean, I had always heard that, if a baby sleeps with like a bottle in its mouth or something, that their teeth can decay because there's high sugar content in milk, but I didn't hear that it could help your teeth at all.
Yeah, I haven't either. So there you go. There's another portion. Now, here's the interesting thing: is they were going to go on. I got to go look at my notes again because there's just so much, and do a study on tooth decay. However, that study was halted. Okay. The reason it was halted, there was a magazine. I have no idea if they're still in publication or not, but it was the Coronet magazine, and this was May 1945.
Okay.
And it was an article in that magazine, and it said it was a seemingly factual article about a town called Crossroads, USA, which doesn't exist.
Yes, I was going to say, it sounds made up.
Yeah, well, it was about a town called Crossroads, USA, does not exist, where many died from undulant fever contracted by raw milk, or from raw milk.
Do they have an outbreak there?
Well, here's the whole problem. Not only is Crossroads, USA fictional, there was no outbreak of undulant fever. So that stopped the study on tooth decay. And this is where I started to go, this is in the mid 1940s. What? Yeah, okay. So in the Journal of Food Protection, volume 74, number 11, 2011, pages 1814, that is 1814 through 1832. One of the things that is stated in there is overall, the results of this review revealed that high-quality scientific evidence to support potential benefits of raw milk consumption is generally lacking, and that the public should interpret any claims with caution. All right? So now I want you to take that statement and I want you to mirror, or just combine that with what I just told you. Right? They found teeth in children drinking raw milk. They were going to do a study. Suddenly a magazine releases a hit piece on a town that doesn't exist for a problem that didn't occur. Now, not saying that, undulant fever hasn't ever been something that has occurred, but as of right now, I have not found evidence of that, although it is peppered in things. There's no link to this being a documented case that I've found yet. Okay, I'm going to keep looking because I do want to see where the truth in things is, right? But what I can tell you is, to date, there are like very, very, very few studies done on raw milk, period. Almost all of the studies are done on pasteurized milk, showing how it's fine,
Right.
It's totally good. Right? All they do is tend to bias against everything else and why pasteurized is better. So there's nothing in there that goes through and looks at raw milk and says, here are the benefits of raw milk, here are the risks, here, everything else, and really lays out what this means. What is raw milk? Is it, how substantially different is it, right? And one thing that I found as well, and I do have follow-ups on this as well, is a thing on some of the enzymes, and this is pretty this is pretty interesting, right? And this is about the destruction of built-in safety systems by pasteurization. And this is cited. This cites Scientific American from December 1995, as well as the Lancet from 17th of November 1984. And what it has here is it measures out breast milk, raw milk, and then pasteurized, UHT, and infant formula. Okay. In this, we've got the components: B lymphocytes, macrophages, neutrophils, lymphocytes, IgA, IgG antibodies, B12 binding protein, bifidus factor, medium chain fatty acids, fibronectin, gamma interferon, lactoferrin, lactoperoxidase, lysozyme, mucin A oligosaccharides.
Say that 4 times fast.
Yeah, no thanks. Hormones and growth factors. I'm not even certain what hormones and growth factors are, but I would imagine they're things, related to, hormonal regulation and growth of, cells, etc. Right? It's my imagination. I just said it's my imagination. Anyway, in each of the case, in the breast milk column and the raw milk column, they are all active. In the pasteurized milk, you have most of them inactivated and some reduced. And the UHT milk, the ultra high temp, or what we're calling ultra pasteurized, which is a European thing for a while. Ultra high, well, I don't know that they're the same actually, but another point of research I need to do. And as well, in that one, almost all of them, only 3 of them, the hormones, the mucin and the medium chain fatty acids, are reduced but not inactivated. And then in infant formula, the only thing that is reduced is medium chain fatty acids. Everything else is inactivated. So some of these I recognize right off the bat, right, as things that your body does want, you need, right? I'm not, again, a doctor. I'm not a medical professional, but, it is worth looking at, like things like B12 binding protein. That's not a bad thing, right? Most of these things, in fact, are all around gut health and general cellular health, etc. Right? So it starts to make you wonder why this, right? And so the first thing you come to is some statements, which are, I guess, for me, a little bit bizarre, right? All right, and this leads me to the next piece, and this was a statement made. So this is John F. Sheehan, Director of Division of Plant and Dairy Food Safety, Office of Food Safety, Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, United States Food and Drug Administration. Can you imagine having to put that on a business card? The backside of the business card, just for like that. And this is before the Health and Government Operations Committee in Maryland, for the Maryland House of Delegates, March 15th of 2007. All right. This is the statement they made. Raw milk should not be consumed by anyone at any time for any reason. Let me repeat that. Raw milk should not be consumed by anyone at any time for any reason. FDA's opinion in this matter is entirely consistent with that of the American Medical Association, which holds as policy the position that all milk sold for human consumption should be required to be pasteurized. And this is referenced as H-150.980, Milk and Human Health. Not sure what that reference is to. I may have zoned out a little bit during this part of the presentation. But so you look at that statement and you go, really? No one at any time for any reason should ever do this, which makes you start to go, wow, this stuff must be dangerous, right?
Well, you would think because when you look it up online, I'm sure most people would Google it. That's probably one of the things that comes up, and that's probably the reason why these people are parroting that when people inquire about the raw milk situation. They just regurgitate that statement that absolutely not. You shouldn't eat it. You shouldn't consume it. That's gonna kill you. Like so. What they have for proof or evidence of why they really can't say.
Yeah, so the proof is essentially
Because we said so?
Outbreak information from long time ago, really.
When did we start pasteurizing everything? Do you know the date on that stuff?
Oh, I don't have the exact date, but I think the mandates came in the late 80s.
Oh, really?
I think that was it, but I'll have to, again, not there yet. I got stuck on things like, now why would you say something like that? I mean, honestly, this is akin to the Schedule 1 interpretation of marijuana. Not valid for any medical use. It's just terrible stuff. Cocaine isn't a Schedule 1; it's Schedule 2.
That's crazy, right?
What? What?
This is the same government giving us the food pyramid, telling us that most of our diet should comprise of grains, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and so those are the kinds of things where, okay, look, yeah, maybe I am conspiracy minded in general, or let's just take it to the real place that it is. It's not that I'm conspiracy minded. I would love for there not to be any conspiracies in the world. I really would. I'm interested, and I am highly distrustful of the people that put out legislation about how we should live our lives. And I think everyone should be. I think if you are trusting of these entities, you've made a very bad mistake somewhere in your life, and you really need to rethink this. Okay. Now, that being said, the first thing that comes to mind after I'm starting to go through all this stuff is, well, this stuff's got to be killing people left and right? And I'm drinking it. I'm gonna, am I gonna die? I mean, I'm gonna die dead. I'm not sick. I've never been or not had an issue, right? But wow, like no time ever, never, nobody should ever touch this stuff. It's so bad. That statement right there is kind of like, yeah, don't drink bleach. Nobody ever at any time should ever drink bleach. Yeah, I'm going to agree. Right. Like household bleach in a container. Yeah, don't freaking drink it ever for anything, any reason, period. Just don't. Okay, that I'm going to stand behind. Why? Well, that's pretty freaking obvious. But now I start hearing this stuff, and it's from our government, and they're telling us, oh, this is the most problematic thing ever to occur. And what's my brain do? Really? Got to be a lot of people that have been messed up with this stuff, right? Excuse my language there. Now, the one thing I will caveat on this, there are a lot less people that do this with raw milk that we know of, okay? And that is a very, very important part. One of the things is very hard to determine when it comes to things like raw milk, which is banned. Well, not necessarily. It's banned for interstate commerce because the federal government cannot regulate what you sell inside of your state, right? Well, unless it's federally prohibited, right? But in this case, it's milk, and the states have the right to make up their own. So there are states out there with lenient laws, regulations they put in place to test and make sure it's clean, and probably labels that say, if you drink this, you're going to die. It is not our fault, so go away, plebe. But that being said, I started just thinking about life in general, right? Where else do I hear stuff like this? And it's not often you hear that strong and firm of a stance against food, right? So I started thinking about it, and the first thing that comes to mind is warning. Consuming meats that are raw or undercooked may be, right? And you see these on menus, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to a restaurant, you're like, oh, ooh, raw or undercooked meat, dangerous. Okay. But you can order it, right? Yeah. And more people get sick and or die and or are hospitalized from eating raw meats than raw milk. But let's take it a step further. What about for the vegetarians and the vegans out there, and happy land? Let's go where they are, because they're probably not eating meat, right? So it doesn't even apply. Why would I care about that? I'm not going to drink raw milk. I'm going to be vegan, so I don't care about this anyway. But if I'm vegetarian, maybe. Just to give you some numbers, okay? Raw milk, the estimated, and this is estimated, and again, it's not legal in a lot of places. So when something's not legal, people have a very strong urge not to self-report, right? So what they know is there's 10 million people that drink raw milk or consume raw milk. I don't know, maybe they're snorting it or something, injecting raw milk. I don't know, but I think you just drink it. But
They buy it for the cat or dog, right? Legally.
well, you can buy it for your pets, yes, which I do. And then I take it home and I give it to my pets.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, raw milk equates. It comes out to something around 1/10 of the estimated illnesses from raw spinach. It comes down to 1/10 of the estimated deaths from raw spinach. Okay. Now, again, there's less people consuming, but if you took that 10 and made it 100 million, saying 1 in 3 people in the entire of the U.S. was consuming raw milk, you'd be looking at the same numbers as raw spinach, but there's not even a freaking warning label on spinach.
Right.
I mean, did you know raw spinach has caused 125,000 reported illnesses? So they were bad enough that someone reported them in the last 25 years?
I did not know it was that many. I have seen recalls on certain, things, Listeria and E. coli and whatever else, on this produce. And
which is another weird thing. You know what? 2 of the primary reasons they ban raw milk? They might have Listeria or E. coli.
Really?
But yes, really.
But you can.
There are others. There are others, but it's a pretty small list. And E. coli, and Listeria are 2. Then they're the same as spinach.
Right. And I would guess that it's probably from the same causes, which would be unsanitary conditions that the stuff is being produced in. Farm animals by nature, they're, in the mud, getting dirty, rolling around in their own poop at points. And if you don't clean them before you milk them, I'm sure that some of that stuff can transfer, or even in the, the containerization part, putting it in the bottles and stuff, if people don't use caution with that. So, for me, I kind of want to know where it's coming from. So I visit the farm personally where I get it from, and I observe the conditions that that it is produced in. And if you go to one of these places and they do not allow you to observe those conditions, then I would probably pass on it.
Bye. I'm out.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, and the other test is look, any farmer that has a decent operation that wants to sell you things is likely to be very amenable to a farm visit,
Mm-hmm.
right? They may not be able to give you a full farm tour and all that stuff, but if you said, "Hey, would you mind if I came by? I'll hang back. I'll be out of the way. Just kind of want to see your operation. I'd like to learn a little bit about it." I haven't met anyone that said no, right? So that's an important part. The other part is, hey, look, I buy this stuff for my pets, right? And one of the first questions I ask is, do you and your family drink this? Do you have children? Do they drink this? And you know what the answer invariably is? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's, this is a person that's trusting their own children, and they raise the animals, and they're trusting their own lives, right? Their own self. So they believe in this product. Okay, that's a good selling point for me. Again, make your own decisions, but I would highly urge farm visit and talk to the people. Just talk to them. Just keep in mind that when you're ordering this stuff from these people and you're ordering it for your pets, that your safety of your pets should be as important to you as your children, right?
Absolutely.
It is to me, right? So treat it as such.
I mean, on the flip side, nobody's probably ever visited where they get their store milk from. and
No,
you probably wouldn't be happy with what you saw when you went there.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's absolutely insane.
especially in a high production, facility like that, when the cost is a big factor, and they're trying to move as many of these animals as possible. Probably, I'm sure they have some kind of sanitary, procedure, but speed is probably more paramount than the quality. But I don't know. I mean, I've seen some videos of guys doing hoof trimming in these facilities, and it's not like it's not like a hospital in there. It's a pretty dirty, nasty place.
Let me be fair on that one, right? I mean, hoof trimming is a vastly different thing, right? And we used to trim our horses' hooves on our dirt barn floor.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not getting the sanitary environment to trim hooves.
Right.
That being said, I don't want to disparage anyone, right? So benefit of the doubt, but I too have seen, video footage. I've been to farms where I wouldn't trust anything that came off that farm personally, So it's a good question. If you're sitting there going, "Oh, this is crazy," why do you wholeheartedly and totally just blindly believe the milk that's on the shelf is okay?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that makes you feel? Is it because the government said so?
Right.
And if so, I don't want to cause any kind of glitch to occur for you, but at the same time, maybe you should question that. Maybe you should at least question that, right? I'm not saying, change your mindset or anything else, but maybe go back to just question it. Like put yourself through the questions of why. Why is this safer? What makes this safer than the farm I can go visit and talk to that is literally feeding their own children with the product they're creating? And that's not okay. But this factory farm that you can't even get on the property. They wouldn't even let you near their operation. Period. They won't. And in fact, part of that is government regulations.
Right.
You need to go through all your biosafety training and everything else to be able to go on these things. Right now, I'm not saying you can't. You probably could with the right, work and everything else, but they're going to make you go through a bunch of biosafety protocols and everything else. They're not just going to allow you to walk up and see what's going on. Right. And I'm not saying that, regular farmer doesn't have those in place. They do, but you can observe from a distance there and they won't be like, no, you can't. Whereas most factory farms would be like, hell no. No, we're not open to people. Right.
Right.
Now,
I mean, I'm sure there's some of that, is a liability. They don't want people getting hurt on their property. But, the other part of it is,
It is.
You know,
It
I
is.
don't know.
And it's liability, it's regulation, it's biosecurity, right? They have to be secure in their stuff. And part of it is because they don't want bad press. They've done that before. They opened up, and next thing you know, you've got documentary films coming from Michael Moore on factory farming, and these guys take a hit. This is their livelihood.
Right.
So it's not just as simple as, oh well, because of government regulations. No, some of it has to do with they've been exposed by people being on their farms before. So there is that, and there's a known issue on large farms. And I'm not saying that it's a prevalent issue. I'm not saying that it's even an issue that is even in every state across all of these large farms, but there is a known issue of animal abuse going on as well. So those are the other things. They most of those farms, they want nothing to do with that, because that's just bad publicity, and next thing you know, they're tanking and going bankrupt and losing their farm.
Right.
Right. So
those are
and I'm not saying that.
the bigger corporate conglomerations.
Right.
I would assume, the
Yeah,
very,
exactly.
very, very
Right.
large companies. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, it does. Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't even have to be a large farm. Right. So when you see these chicken houses, right, and you go by, one thing I think a lot of people don't understand is that's not the farmers' chicken houses, right?
No.
Those are Tyson Food Corp. Those are Pilgrim Food Corp. These guys come in, the farmer signs a loan and basically repays through operations over time until they own that. And what they typically do is, once they get to a point where they've paid off enough and they're in good shape and they're making money, a little bit of money, is they'll do another one for another chicken house. And so you'll see a farmer have one big row, chicken house, and then maybe a few years later you'll see another one, and then maybe a couple years later you'll see another two come in, and usually I haven't seen many of them around here, at least, that are more than five or six of them on a single property. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but that's kind of how that operates. So these are, family farms that have grown. They're in the corporate world because they've essentially signed up with a corporate conglomerate type of a situation,
Right.
and they help fund infrastructure, and they help fund. It's kind of like setting up a franchise, right? So you've got the name brand, you've got the sales avenue, you've got, a plan, you've got the processes, the biosecurity's laid out, exactly how it's built, what's inside it, how it comes, everything is laid out for you, right? So, not a bad deal for a farmer.
Yeah, I've been to one of those facilities before. I don't think it would be enjoyable to live in one as a chicken, but that's neither here nor
No,
there. Yeah, I
no.
was delivering some concrete out to a place, one of those long chicken building things, and it was actually pretty miserable.
Yeah.
The space that they kind of crammed them into, and the flies were horrible. Horrible. I couldn't even roll the windows down to on the truck, because if you did, there would be 100 flies in there within a matter of seconds.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we
And the
control
smell,
flies.
the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and part of that is the density, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got very dense cohabitation. You've got, obviously manure when things are that dense.
Right.
There's no way to get around that. You don't see a lot of manure. I mean, there's manure in our pastures, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of manure there because we have enough pasture space for the animals. Excuse me. So yeah, and we use these little, they're basically wasps, but they're tiny. They're like, the size of a gnat,
Mm-hmm.
literally. They can't hurt you. They can't do anything to you. So no sweat. What they do is they go find the larvae of the flies, and then they
Okay.
attack those, right? And so we get these things called fly predators, is what they're called, fly predators. I don't know what the scientific name of those are. I've seen it. But it's not a name that I remembered. But we set those out, and basically as they hatch, they just go out, find the larvae, and basically stop the fly population from reproducing. So it's been a huge difference. But yeah, that's another problem, right?
Nice. But I mean, their
And
whole
then,
reason for those farms is how you can get a $4 roaster at a Costco or Sam's Club. I don't think there'd be any other way to do that.
no, unless you're going that dense and that that many, there isn't really a way to do that. On the flip side, that's where government subsidies start to come in and stuff like this, like the most recent bird flu thing, right?
Mm,
And they just cull entire farms, not just a chicken house. I mean, that sometimes it's just the house, but quite typically they'll cull the whole farm. And one of the ways they do this, I'm not saying this is how they do it all the time, but one of the ways they do this is they flood that entire environment with foam and
really?
suffocate all the chickens.
Wow.
Now, to give you an idea, these chickens are, in very little space to themselves, and they're in one of those houses. So they are stacked in there. And then you see trucks full of carcasses, and they take them to the dump and dump them.
Mm,
Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
yeah. Well, whatever you do, don't look up how expiration date started and.
Yeah. So another interesting thing, and you kind of alluded to this in the beginning, right? Is one of the presentations was talking about protection raw milk offers people, right? And the header on it is raw milk protects against asthma and allergies.
Really?
4 European studies have all given the same results. Drinking raw milk is highly protective against asthma, allergies, and eczema in children.
All right.
And this is in Lancet 2001, October 6th, I believe, as well as in J Allergy Syn Immunol in 2006, January, as well as in Clinical and Experimental Allergy 2007, May, as well as in the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology online, August 29, 2011. Most recent study showed that boiling the milk removed the protective effect. These findings dovetail with numerous reports we have received of children recovering from asthma, allergies, and eczema when consuming raw milk. Asthma kills around 5,500 people every year. Okay? And the solution to the milk problem was solved predominantly by outlawing inner city swill dairies, right? And these are, again, places that just unsanitary. They're just, basically creating the dregs of milk. Improved hygiene, right? We've learned a lot, right? A lot of the outbreaks we've seen of other things come down to sanitary conditions, like people not washing their freaking hands.
Oh
right?
man, don't even get me started on that. Dude, it every time, like normally when we go to Sam's Club, we fill up with gas before we go in there, and I'm like a hand washer. It's just one of my things, so I'll go in the bathroom, wash my hands. It amazes me every time. People coming out of the stall, coming off of the urinal, dude, right out the door. Yep. So like, I'm not a handshaker. I don't really, unless I know you. And I'll probably hug you, but dude, like, and then like, I'm not being unfriendly.
Next time before I shake your hand.
Yeah, I'm not being unfriendly. It's just like it's gross, man. I just can't believe that many people just don't care.
Well, and it's worse. What I was referencing was more along the lines of viral outbreaks that have occurred, and a lot of those were solved by improved hygiene, literally sanitization and improved hygiene, right? Another thing that has been a big solution to the milk problem is improved water treatment, as well as the replacement of the horse with the car. Sounds weird, but there's no poo on the streets all over the place anymore, right?
Well,
if everyone was
a couple towns that I don't want to call them out by name, but there might be some poop in the street.
Okay. They're poop maps. Yes, okay. But well, we don't have raw milk producers in that
No,
neighborhood, hopefully,
no.
doing that on the street like we used to. The certified raw milk movement, which is a reality, right? There was a whole thing, and there still is, right? I can't remember the name of the foundation. Go back here. I don't have it. Yeah, but okay. So it's an organization. I can't recall the name of it. I think it starts with a W. But their site is www.realmilk.com. They've got some great stuff on there as well. If you're interested in learning a little bit, if you're interested in getting some more information as well, and we will continue to do some more informationals on this particular topic, because as I said, there's so much here that I just didn't have time to scratch the surface. It's like, man, I would have had to spend weeks of all day, every day, and I can't spend that kind of time on this sort of thing, right? So it's been quite the rabbit hole. And as far as it goes, what I'm seeing is a very, very, very hardcore push away from raw milk. And we even said that pasteurization was great, and now we're going to ultra pasteurized. But why? Was there a problem with pasteurization? Do we need to make it even more pasteurized?
I didn't never even really thought about that. So yeah, they've changed that too, huh?
Well, go look for something that's not ultra pasteurized in your local grocery store.
Right.
Just try and find regular pasteurized milk.
Well, finding the raw milk was a challenge. So when we got back home and we tried to find it here, the options were very, very few. So Sprouts actually did have some goat milk, but still, I don't know where it's coming from. And it is labeled for pet consumption only. I think, by law, they all have to have that. And it was very expensive.
In our states, they do. I think there are other states. I think some of the Western states actually allow the sale of raw milk for consumption. My state in particular does allow herd share. So you can go to a farmer and say, yes, I would like to buy a share of herd, or, maybe multiples if they even allow that. They may not. Most of them contain it to one share, which gets you, a quantity per X amount of time of product, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, when we first wanted it, they told us we don't have enough product for everybody that's wanting it. So, I mean, goats apparently don't make as much as a huge dairy cow. So it was we had to get on a waiting list and kind of work our way up there, and we get it every week now. My wife is making the kefir herself, so we have to kind of keep it going.
Yeah, their production's a third to a sixth of a cow, of a dairy cow. So depending on the goat, right, and it's going to and the cow is going to wildly vary. But a cow, I think, is anywhere from 4 to 7 gallons of milk per milking, and a goat is somewhere between half and 1.5 gallons per milking, depending on the goat.
Yeah, we were just out there the other day, and they all have names. They got about, I think, 30 of them, maybe 40, and they all look healthy, and
Yeah, I went with you.
Yeah, you were out there.
Got to see the little place. Pretty little farm.
Yeah.
Happy animals. It's all you can ask for, man. If the animals look happy, you're probably in the right place.
Right.
That's a thing.
Very true.
And we, as a human being, I think most of us are endowed with the ability to see an animal and be able to recognize whether they're happy or not.
That's true. So some people without conscience don't really care, but I guess
they may not care, but I think they can still recognize that, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine. Maybe not. But yeah, so this is an interesting thing, and really the thing that just keeps coming back to me is, why is this stance so hardcore on this?
So have you figured out that reason yet, or no?
I have not,
Oh,
man,
okay.
and I am hitting brick wall after brick wall in trying to get further.
I mean,
I actually had a couple sessions with some AI
all
as
right.
well, and started going down that rabbit hole, and then got stonewalled.
I mean, like you were talking about I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Like you were talking about the marijuana thing. It kind of sounds similar to that. Like they just came across like with this stance that it has no use of anything and nobody should consume it, and then they put out the propaganda to make everybody believe that.
Yeah, which and that's what it feels like, right? The AI sessions went to stonewalling, and then even to the point of telling me why it was dangerous and don't do it, and here's more studies on why you can't, or why this is better, or this is healthier, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, well, what about this side? And they're like, oh no, but you need to understand the risks, and it's bad, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, why? And they're like, oh, because all this. And I'm like, but hasn't that been solved with sanitization and hygiene and a number of other things, including tools, etc.? And they're like, yes, but no.
I wonder
yes,
if we'll
sanitization is better, hygiene is better, people sterilize their buckets, everything, la 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 la, but it's dangerous, don't do it, you'll die.
I mean, I guess it could be dangerous if you try to milk a bull or something, maybe. I don't know.
That's a bad idea, unless you got the bull pinned up real and he's in the mood, in which case I don't know why you're doing this, or why I even thought about that. Why did you bring that up? No, we're not going there. Don't milk male. But okay, I'm stopping now. Nope. No. Just freaking no. And everybody will be happy to know that this episode will actually come, and any associated episode with this content on raw milk is going to come with its own thumbnail as well. So you'll easily be able to pick them out. Create a nice little custom one. I think everyone will recognize it. So I'm not even going to give it away. I think you'll be able to see it and go, ha, that's good.
We hit big time if we get the blue warning box on YouTube that says that the federal government has discouraged the drinking of raw milk, and has a whole disclaimer thing about there. Yeah, I would be surprised if they have one.
Yeah, I fully expect we're going to get informational notes as well as potentially community notes on this one, and that's fine, right? I think this is a topic worthy of discussion, debate, and actual study. I really do. And to date, there hasn't been, it's all really been one-sided, right? Everything has been around why it's bad, why you shouldn't do it, why pasteurization is good and just as good as, and things like this. But the studies that were planned for raw milk all seemed to evaporate, vaporize, etc. And keep in mind that these studies are largely funded by government grants. Don't get me wrong, there are private endowments as well towards studies, but if they get pressure, it's likely you're not going to see a study on that. Now, I'm not saying that is the case here. However, that one instance where the Coronet magazine came out and did this thing and nuked a study on tooth decay, and this was in the 40s. It has never been done since. That's why. That's 75 years ago they were going to do it, and then this fake article. Does this sound like something you might have heard somewhere in recent times? It's just and that's where it gets deep, man. It's like, how do you researching this stuff is insane. Oh, and by the way, I've got some CDC links that are going to be in this as well, where the page no longer exists. But the internet does not forget. And thanks to the amazing folks at archive.org and the Wayback Machine, I have a copy of that page.
Mm.
So you will have a link to it. It will be from archive.org. It's going to be a really long link. And if you look at the link, you'll notice that in the middle of it, it'll have a ref statement, and it'll say the cdc.gov / blah, 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 .pdf. And it's the full link. So we will make sure we get those out. I will put them on the line groups. I'll put them, I will try to put them up on the X account as well. And we'll definitely put these all, as well as some show notes, etc., into the Telegram channel. The Telegram channel is, you can get to it by putting in a web browser, t.me/space-tomatoes. That should get you straight to us. That's the channel. To get into the chat discussion, just go to the comment under the first post there, and you will be in our chat group. So if you want to chat with us live, you can. If you've got ideas for a show, that's a great place to put it, etc. And let me make sure that I have that address correct. Yes, I did. t.me/space-tomatoes.
Should be easy enough. And if anybody, I like reading the comments. If anybody has had any personal experience, or maybe they completely disagree with what we have to say, leave a comment down below. Let us know. Maybe if raw milk has killed you, let us know. We'd like to hear your story.
If you have died consuming raw milk, please leave a comment so we can get you on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come to you.
In-person studio visit.
Because you're dead. So, I'm sorry. That wasn't nice. I hope nobody has.
No,
right?
no. We don't want anybody to get sick.
To my research, what I've found is the numbers are everywhere on that. But none of them are outside of the single-digit range in the last 25 plus years. Okay, so none of them. So that's, again, 10 million people, single-digit range. I know there are plenty of things right now. Car crashes kill 55,000 people every year, right? Spinach. It's killed 50 people in the last 20 years. 2 people per year just from spinach.
If Popeye only knew.
Man, he'd be sad. He would. He'd just be like, dude. Hey, Olive.
You're pretty good at that.
Hey, practice make stupid or something. I don't know.
So we're going to have an episode part 2 about raw milk?
Oh, without question. Okay. I'm actually going to try, and I'm going to try to get a guest, maybe 2, on. I'm going to try to get 2 guests so that we can do a little panel and a back and forth.
Nice.
Right? Yeah, I'd like to hear, on this, both sides of this story, right? But keep in mind, I'm not looking for a rabid person on either side of that spectrum. Like, someone who is logical and able to, without getting hyper emotional, kind of detail out what the reality is, what the facts are, and what their thoughts are on both sides. Right. So, yeah, but, another big note, if you happen to be a farmer that, deals with this, that deals with raw milk sales, that would like to sell your raw milk to people but can't, or any other circumstance like that, please, let us know. We'd love to have you on the show. Would love to hear what your thoughts are, your opinions, your facts, your everything, right? And it's a great way to promote your farm to maybe at least 30 people. That's a lot. 30. That's big.
34, I thought.
Right. Well, on just YouTube, there's more. And they keep growing. I don't know why.
Yeah, I got to join the Telegram thing, I think. That sounds pretty interesting.
That would probably be good.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll keep promoting it and letting people know. But right now it's fairly dead. But it is a good place. The other good thing about Telegram is the video is there for you to download. So you can download it to your computer or download it to your phone and watch it on your own device without any connection.
That's handy.
So, yeah, I think so. I do that quite often. So
Nice.
it's nice. Yeah. So I think it's about all I had for today.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know that much more about it, but you've been kicking it in.
I have a lot more than I just said. I just, have been scrambling to try and piece it together so that there's coherent statements in here that are backed up with something, right? It's one thing to just tell you what my thoughts are on the subject. It's an entirely different thing to give you some information, right? And we wanted to give you both. So
knowledge is power, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And more research is needed on this because it's definitely something that's been suppressed in a number of ways, right? Legislatively, in a number of ways. If you're interested in looking at the results of something like where this goes wrong and how farmers get treated on this, you can look up the Amos Miller, Amos Miller. Sounds like it is. I'm not going to spell it for you. If you can't spell Miller, I don't know. Go look at a beer bottle. Same right there. Look at his story. Look at what happened with his farm and why, right? And you kind of look at that and just go, really? I mean, honestly? So anyway, I think that is about where I want to leave this right here. And again, we're going to put all this stuff up there, and please, let us know if you have ideas or you have anything else. But yeah, that said, thank you everybody for giving us a little bit of your time. We know time is a precious commodity, and we really enjoyed having you here with us. Leave a comment, give us a like, give us a thumbs down if you didn't like us. Let us know if you want to come on the show. Join the Telegram. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Podcast Addict, and X, as well as Telegram, for all your Space Tomatoes needs. And remember, wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this, have an amazing day.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. See you next time.
Bye.